Recording in progress.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please place all electronic devices to vibrate. Mr. Majority Leader.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Stadium meeting of October 12th, 2022. I'm Majority Leader Keith Powers. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. If you'd like to follow along, the agenda for today's meeting is posted on the City Council website.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Roll call.
Abreu.
Present.
Ariola.
Present.
Aviles.
Presente.
Ayala.
Present.
Barron.
Here.
Botcher.
Here.
Brannan.
Here.
Brewer. Brooks Powers.
Present.
Caban.
Present.
Carr.
Present.
Della Rosa.
Here.
Dinowitz.
Present.
Farias.
Present.
Felice.
Presente.
Gennaro.
I'm back. Look out.
Gutierrez.
Presente.
Hanif.
Present.
Hanks.
Present.
Holden.
Here.
Hudson.
Present.
Joseph.
Present.
Kagan. Krishnan.
Here.
Lee.
Present.
Lewis.
Present.
Marte.
Here.
Mealy. Menon.
Present.
Moya.
Present.
Narcisse.
Present.
Nurse. Osei.
Present.
Palladino.
Present.
Wrestler.
Present.
Richardson Jordan. Riley.
Present.
Rivera.
Present.
Salamanca.
Present.
Sanchez. Shulman.
Here.
Stevens.
Here.
Ung.
Present.
Velasquez. Brewer. Vernikoff. Williams.
Here.
Juan.
Here.
Yeager. Borelli. Powers.
Here.
Speaker Adams.
Present.
Thank you. We now have today's invocation, which will be delivered by Rabbi Yossi Mendelson from Congregation Mahane Chodesh, which is located at 6729 180th Street in Queens. Welcome.
All rise.
Let me begin by saying that today is a very unique day in the Jewish calendar, so unique in fact that it occurs only once in 7 years. It's called Hakhel, or Gathering Day, and once in 7 years during the Sukkot holiday, the Festival of Booths, the entire Jewish nation from eldest to youngest, even to the smallest babies, would gather in the plaza outside the Holy Temple in Jerusalem to hear the highest political official in the nation read inspirational scriptures intended to inspire the nation to rededicate themselves to the service of God and their fellow residents. So as such, I invite you to join me in reflecting on gathering. We bring to mind the universal and eternal source of life that embraces us all and in whose sight we are all gathered as one. As we gather, we reflect on our individual voice, and then how is it gathered with those with whom I serve? What does it contribute to the gathering, and how is it enhanced by the others gathered with me? The Jewish people, as we celebrate Sukkot, gather together with our ancestors, and each day we remember one of those ancestors, 7 in total. And so perhaps you'll find your own voice in one of theirs. Is mine the voice of Abraham, whose name is invoked on the first day of Sukkot, the voice of unconditional love? Or is it the voice of Isaac for the second day, the voice of holding boundaries and establishing rules? Or is it the voice of Jacob, the voice of balance and harmony? Perhaps I identify with the spirit of Moses for his courage and perseverance, or maybe my voice is that of Aaron for his gentle touch and humble spirit. Or am I the relationship builder and communicator, Joseph? Or am I the embodiment of the final day of Sukkot, King David, the implementer who brings ideas to reality? Each of these are beautiful on their own, but true goodness is only present when they are all gathered together. When we gather, our work is praise, and I pray that this illustrious gathering be blessed to be truly united for the spiritual and material well-being of its members, all those who live in this great city, and the impact we have beyond. And then our work is praise, and in the words of Psalm 117, praise the Eternal, all you nations. Praise him, all you peoples, for his love for us is great, and the truth of the Lord endures forever. Hallelujah. Hallelujah Adonai kol goyim, shabechuhu kol ha'umim, ki govar oleinu chasto, v'yemes Adonai liolam. Hallelujah. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Mendelson. Thank you for being here today. I now ask your local council member, Lynn Shulman, to spread the invocation on the record.
Thank you. Rabbi Yosef Mendelson is the spiritual leader at Congregation Machan Hodash in Forest Hills, Queens, a representative of the Chabad movement, and a chaplain at New York Presbyterian Queens Hospital and Creedmoor Psychiatric Center. A graduate of the Lubavitcher Yeshiva in Brooklyn, Rabbi Mendelson served as Bible Studies Chair at the Jewish Institute of Queens and is currently the clergy liaison for the 112th Precinct in Queens. I want to say that I met the rabbi about a year ago when I was running for city council, and he and his family immediately embraced me, and I will tell you that I'm not as religious as some other folks are, but he's very spiritual in his thinking and his speaking, and he's inspired me in many ways, and I'm very grateful for him being here. I would like to now make a motion for unanimous consent to spread the invocation in full upon the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Shulman. Thank you for being with us today. Thanks so much. We're now going to have the adoption of the minutes by Councilmember Oswald Feliz.
Thank you, Majority Leader. I'd like to make a motion that the minutes of the stated meeting dated September 14th, 2022 be adopted as printed.
Thank you. Just going to hold for 1 second. Messages and papers from the mayor.
Received, ordered, printed, and filed.
I'm sorry, Madam Speaker. M94, Executive Order Number 224.
Now received, ordered, printed, and filed.
M95 through M97, LCRC appointments.
Rules, privileges, and elections.
Communication from city, county, and borough offices.
M98, Districting Commission Plan.
Received, ordered, printed, and filed.
Petitions and communications.
None.
Land use call-ups.
M99, Innovation Queens Rezoning and LSGD.
Coupled on call-up vote, I would now ask that the clerk take a roll call vote on today's land use call-ups.
Abreu.
Aye.
Ariola.
Aye.
Aviles.
Aye.
Ayala.
Aye.
Thank you. Barron.
Aye.
Botcher.
Aye.
Brannan.
Aye.
Brewer. Thank you. Brooks Powers.
Aye.
Thank you. Caban.
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
De La Rosa.
Aye.
Dinowitz.
Aye.
Farias.
I vote aye.
Feliz.
Aye.
Gennaro.
Aye.
Gutierrez.
Aye.
Hanif.
Aye.
Hanks.
Aye.
Holden.
Aye.
Hudson.
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye.
Kagan.
Aye.
Krishnan.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Marte.
Aye.
Mealy.
Aye.
Menon.
Aye.
Moya.
Aye.
Thank you. Narcisse.
Aye.
Nurse. Osei.
Aye.
Palladino.
Aye.
Thank you. Wrestler.
Aye.
Richardson Jordan. Riley.
Majority Leader, I request permission to vote on all items on today's agenda.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Thank you. Rivera.
I vote aye.
Salamanca.
I would like to vote aye on all call-ups, and with permission, I would like to vote on all coupled items on the general order calendar and all resolutions.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I vote aye on all.
Thank you. Sanchez.
Aye.
Schulman.
Aye.
Stevens.
Majority Leader, I would like to vote aye on all items on agenda today.
Go ahead.
Aye.
Thank you. Ung.
Aye.
Velasquez.
Permission to explain my vote and also permission to vote on all items on today's agenda.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sure thing. Thank you, Majority Leader, and good afternoon, colleagues. Today, the council will be voting on the Bruckner sites rezoning in my district. As I've said before, it is incumbent upon us to build a better New York City. Our city is facing a housing crisis, and all of us in every community have to be part of the solution. And that doesn't mean that we have to hand over the keys to developers, and it doesn't mean that we have to disregard local concerns and input. We can achieve the shared goals of the city and local communities, and we have accomplished that. For me, the priority has been and will always be building for our local community and giving my constituents more opportunities for good paying, family sustaining jobs, as well as affordable housing. It has always been about meeting the needs of the residents in my district. Thankfully, we have gotten there with this project. I listened to the concerns and assessed the needs of my constituents and brought that into this process. Through our negotiations, numerous commitments were secured to benefit the residents of my district. Affordable housing, good jobs, and most importantly, support for our seniors and veterans. This project will create 348 units of 348 units of housing, 193 of which are affordable. 99 of those affordable units are for seniors in 100% affordable housing building that will help our older adults comfortably age. Also, providing a 13,000 square foot senior center. 25 of the affordable units provide permanent affordability for veterans with supportive social services. We have deepened the affordability levels for 35% of the MIH units to be at 40% of AMI. We came to an agreement with the Carpenters Union to work with the senior building, which is 100% affordable for our seniors, along with labor agreements with 32BJ and Laborers Local 79. We also secured local and MWBE hiring goals for this project. There are many benefits that I'm proud to have secured in this project. Overall, meeting the important needs within
Time expired.
These are tremendous wins secured for our community, and I'm particularly proud of the positive impact this project will have for seniors, veterans, workers, and those desperately in need of affordable homes and stability. This project accomplishes so much, so I encourage you to vote yes, as I do. I want to thank Speaker Adams, Chair Salamanca, Chair Riley, the Council Landing staff, and all of my colleagues who have guided and supported me through this process. I also want to thank my own staff, Alex Anderson, Jackie Crossett, Mike Corbett, Stephanie Rodriguez, Tamara Bonet Cardona, Steph Rodriguez, and Amanda Reyes, all for your hard work and dedication to ensure that we deliver for my district. I want to thank you all.
Thank you. And Councilmember Velasquez, we need your vote as well.
I said it before. I said I encourage you to vote yes along with me. I'm voting yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Vernikov. Williams.
Permission to explain my vote. Permission to explain my vote.
On the land use call-ups?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I am proud to support the designation of 2 blocks in my district through today's vote on the Cambria Heights 222nd and 227th Street Historic Districts. Historic districts are especially important in Black and Brown communities, and I hope more historic districts in Eastern Queens will be designated in the coming years. This is the 2nd landmark neighborhood in the 27th Council District.
Councilmember Moses, I think this is on general orders. Are we voting on this today?
You said that?
This is not, this is land use call-ups right now. We're doing general orders. How do you vote on land use call-ups?
I vote aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Juan.
Aye.
Yeager. Aye. Borelli. Powers.
I vote aye.
Speaker Adams.
Aye and all.
Today's land use call-ups are adopted by a vote of 48 in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. We will now have communication from Speaker Adrian Adams.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin today by discussing the thousands of people who have fled their home countries for asylum in ours and have arrived here in our city. As we continue to count the increasing number of people arriving here and how to respond, I think it's important that we ground ourselves in a foundation of humanity. There are indications that the human faces and lives behind this crisis are being lost in the discussion, and we cannot allow that to occur. These are individuals and families, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, daughters, and sons. Let us not lose sight of the people and the impact all of this has on them. Consistent with our values, New York City has accepted and welcomed those seeking asylum with open arms in response to inhumane conditions and acts before they ever got here. As a council, we fully understand the gravity of this crisis facing our city and the families who have already suffered so much in their journeys here. We also understand this is a challenging moment, and there are no easy solutions. In a crisis, we don't expect to get everything right, and we know that mistakes will be made. What's important, however, is how we respond, and that we treat people with the compassion and human decency they deserve. Several of us in the council raised concerns with the administration's plans to build a Humanitarian Emergency Relief and Recovery Center, or HERC, first at Orchard Beach, and now on Randall's Island, because of the environmental and health risks it would pose outdoors. We sought to be constructive and solution-oriented partners in offering indoor alternatives for the administration to consider for the purposes of intake and relief services, as well as important policy changes to remove barriers that prevent people from expeditiously moving out of the shelter system into permanent housing. A major factor in our city's homeless shelter system being stressed are the counterproductive city policies that slow people's departure from it. By addressing these, we could release some of the pressure on our shelter system, benefiting both New Yorkers who have long been in shelters and people seeking asylum. These policies are completely within the city's control to change, and enacting them swiftly would allow more people to begin transitioning out of the shelter system and into permanent housing. Whether it is eliminating the requirement that people remain in the shelter system for 90 days before becoming eligible for the City FEP's rental voucher program, hiring the agency's staff in the areas to expedite opportunities for people to leave shelter, or addressing the bureaucratic inefficiencies in the processes, there are steps the city can and must take to help address the slow rate at which people can access permanent housing opportunities to leave shelters. The council's only interest is in improving the conditions for New Yorkers and asylum seekers, and we cannot leave solutions on the table. We know that more support is needed from the federal and state governments, and we have echoed those calls with action. Yet, it is important for us to acknowledge the challenges that arise within our control as well, and to take steps to alleviate them. Council members continue to welcome people seeking asylum and accept emergency shelters for them in their districts. Other key support services from the city at the community level for these new residents is what's been lacking and must be increased. That is the biggest complaint heard from council members, schools, and advocates alike, and it has also been the subject of news reports. It is counterproductive to dismiss the gaps that exist and potential ideas that can close them. Instead, what our city needs is a constructive and honest approach where we collaboratively and transparently identify emerging challenges and solutions to them. We hope this can be the approach moving forward, because this crisis requires all of us to work together for our city. Part of the reason our city is faced with such high rates of homelessness and a shelter system that is over capacity is that we're also in a dire housing crisis. Our city is not building enough homes, especially affordable and supportive housing for New Yorkers, and that will continue to be a problem unless we confront these housing gaps. It will require the leadership of this body as well as the other side of City Hall. Today, the council will be voting on the Bruckner Boulevard rezoning application, which will produce 348 units of housing, 193 of which are affordable, including 99 units for seniors and 25 units set aside for veterans. That means over half the apartments in this project are affordable. This application improved tremendously from the time it reached the council. The affordability levels of this project were deepened to offer 35% of the affordable MIH units at the 40% AMI level, roughly $48,000 for a family of 3. Additionally, the veterans' housing in this project will be permanently affordable and will be accompanied by social services. There are significant labor agreements with 32BJ SEIU, Laborers Local 79, and the Carpenters Union. This project also establishes local and MWBE hiring goals. And as part of the 100% affordable building for older adults, There will be a 13,000 square foot senior center instead of office space. This council is committed to being part of the solution to the housing crisis by approving sound projects that benefit communities and our entire city. As a former community board chair, I can let you know I understand the importance of prioritizing the concerns of local residents and community input. This can often lead to much better projects. We must confront the housing crisis facing our neighborhoods and city, with every district contributing to the production of affordable housing. I'm glad that the Bruckner Boulevard rezoning achieves this goal while advancing benefits for local residents as well. And I want to thank Councilmember Velasquez for her hard work on this project. I also want to thank our zoning and land use chairs, Council Members Riley and Salamanca, for their contributions to support Councilmember Velasquez and the constructive public process they facilitated in this body on this important project. Before I continue, I'd like to take a moment to remember and honor the life of EMS Captain Allison Russo. Captain Russo was a 24-year veteran of the FDNY and a 9/11 first responder who dedicated her life to public service and saving lives. We honor her more than two decades of service to our city, and we mourn her loss. She will be deeply missed, and the council offers our condolences to her family, her friends, and to the entire FDNY during this difficult time. Let us take a moment of silence for Captain Allison Russo. Thank you. This week, Jewish New Yorkers are celebrating Sukkot. This morning, I had the honor of visiting a sukkah outside City Hall built by the Chabad Lubavitch Youth Organization. And we honored community leaders Rabbi Bob Kaplan and Shimmy Pellman with proclamations for their many years of strengthening community relations. I wish all those who have been celebrating this week a Chag Samayach. Yesterday was National Coming Out Day. Woo! First observed in 1988 in support of LGBTQIA+ individuals who openly share their sexual orientation and gender identity. It celebrates the coming out to family, friends, and colleagues as an act of liberation that confronts an atmosphere of silence and ignorance to combat homophobia. Visibility is so critical to the ongoing movement for equality, and that's why it's important to stand in allyship with our LGBTQ+ communities. Next week, we will also be observing Spirit Day, which aims to spread awareness about bullying and harassment faced by LGBTQIA+ youth. We wear purple in honor of Spirit Day to represent our commitment to supporting the young people in the LGBTQIA+ community. We see you, we hear you, we support you. Lastly, on October 24th, Hindu, Jain, and Sikh New Yorkers will be celebrating Diwali, the Festival of Lights. Diwali symbolizes the triumph of light over darkness and good over evil. I wish everyone who is celebrating this 5-day festival a safe and happy Diwali. And finally, on your desks, colleagues, you will find a pink ribbon and you will find a purple ribbon. The pink ribbon represents breast cancer awareness, and the purple ribbon is for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We will wear these with purpose today to shine a light on the impacts on all of our communities. Now, let's move on to our stated agenda. Today, we're voting on several legislative land use and finance items. We will be voting on the following land use items. 2080 McDonald Avenue rezoning will facilitate a new 8-story mixed-use building to include 66 housing units, approximately 22 affordable under MIH, 67 parking spaces, a community facility, and retail space. The council is modifying the application to remove the site south of Avenue S from the rezoning area in Councilmember Yeager's district. Bruckner Sites rezoning, as previously mentioned, will facilitate the development of 4 new mixed-use buildings. It will include a total of 349 housing units, 98 permanently affordable under MIH, 99 income-restricted units for seniors, including 30 of the permanently affordable units under MIH, and 25 units for veterans, 309 parking spaces, a grocery store, senior center, youth community center, retail, and veteran services in Councilmember Velasquez's district. 705 10th Avenue DEP site, a UDAP and tax exemption application to facilitate the development of a new 8-story mixed-use building with approximately 157 affordable housing units, a ground floor community facility, and an open space area to be operated by the Parks Department in Councilmember Botcher's district. Cambria Heights 222nd and 227th Streets Historic Districts, Councilmember Williams. A Landmarks Preservation Commission's designation of a remarkably cohesive and distinctive group of row houses built with storybook-style features, yes, in Councilmember Natasha Williams' district. 78-46 Metropolitan Avenue rezoning will facilitate the enlargement of an existing 1-story building with 2 additional stories, 2 housing units, and a veterinary medicine office located on the ground floor in Councilmember Holden's district. 79-18 164th Street rezoning will facilitate a commercial overlay that will legalize an existing medical laboratory in Councilmember Gennaro's district. Finally, 40-25 Crescent Street rezoning will facilitate a new 7-story mixed-use building to include 233 housing units, including approximately 60 affordable apartments under MIH, as well as ground floor commercial and industrial space. The council is modifying the application to strike MIH option 2 and add the deep affordability option in Councilmember Wan's district. Additionally, we will also be voting on the following finance item. Proposed introduction 655A, sponsored by Council members Justin Brannan and Lincoln Ressler, would authorize an increase in annual expenditures by 3 business improvement districts: the Fifth Avenue Association, the Columbus Amsterdam bid, and the Court Livingston Schermerhorn bid. Lastly, the council will vote on the following pieces of legislation. Introduction 179A, sponsored by Councilmember Francisca Moya, would require the city to publish online a report about the role of women and gender non-binary, non-conforming, and intersex workers in non-traditional careers, and submit that report to the council no later than July 1st, 2023. Thank you to staff Brenda McKinney and Anastasia Zimina. Finally, we will vote on a package of legislation making child care more accessible in New York City. From day one, child care has been a priority for this council. We want to pursue it on a universal basis for working families across our city in partnership with the mayor and other stakeholders. I am a mother and grandmother with experiences as a working parent of young children, and many of our members share the same experiences. Affordable, high-quality child care benefits parents, children, and our city overall. Child care is one of the biggest challenges for working women, and our country is facing a child care crisis exacerbated by the pandemic and its economic consequences. Women experience some of the greatest job losses from COVID, and the cost of care has only been increasing. There are approximately 225,000 more men in the labor force than before the pandemic, but 427,000 fewer women. There's been a decline in the child care workforce that remains a challenge. Child care must be a priority to help ensure an equitable recovery. Through this package of legislation, this historic women majority city council is once again taking action to lead, demonstrating the difference for our city when our legislature accurately reflects our city. We continue to prioritize inclusive solutions that address the issues of greatest importance to all New Yorkers. Introduction 242A, sponsored by Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez, would require the creation of a Marshall Plan for Moms task force to study and develop recommendations on how to support working mothers and caregivers. The task force would be required to submit a report with recommendations within 1 year of the task force's convening. Introduction 477A, sponsored by Councilmember Crystal Hudson, would establish a child care task force to examine how to make child care more affordable and accessible for families in the city, and how to provide additional support and funding to child care providers and workers. The task force would be required to submit a report that includes recommendations for making child care in the city more affordable and accessible. We will also vote on the following resolution and bill sponsored by Councilmember Julie Menin. Introduction 485A would require the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to coordinate with the Department of Information Technology and Telecommunications to create a directory of child care programs in the city, including a link to information about child daycares run by the state that are located in the city. The directory would be available in the designated citywide languages. Introduction 486A would establish a Child Care Advisory Board, which would be responsible for conducting studies and issuing reports related to child care in the city, including providing an annual assessment of the needs of child care programs in the city and the city's progress toward providing universal child care. Introduction 487A would require the administration to create an online portal that provides information on child care subsidies. The portal would allow a user to access information about subsidies, including eligibility requirements and instruction on how to apply based on information provided by the user. The portal would also include the forms needed to apply for each subsidy, including any electronic forms available that may be submitted online through the portal. The portal would be available in the designated citywide languages. Introduction 488A would require the administration to create a child care grant pilot program for child care programs in the city in need of assistance. To be eligible, a child care program would need to be at significant risk of closure or displacement and meet application and other requirements established by the administering agency. The administration would be required to submit an annual report to the mayor and the Speaker of the Council on grants awarded pursuant to the program and recommendations for expansion. Introduction 489A would require the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to develop guidance for owners of real property regarding the facility requirements for a child care program and make such guidance available on its website. The guidance would also be required to indicate that property owners may be eligible for a tax abatement if they meet certain requirements pursuant to state law. Resolution 69 would call upon New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign legislation supporting the provision of financial assistance to families and child care providers to make child care more accessible and affordable. And we thank our staff, Brenda McKinney, Jesse Fung, and Anastasia Zimina. Before handing it over to the Majority Leader, everybody please clap it up for Councilmember Justin Brannan, who is celebrating his birthday on Friday. With that, I hand it into the hands of our Majority Leader, Keith Powers.
Thank you, Speaker Adams. We will now move into discussion of general orders. I also want to wish Councilmember Holden, I think it's his birthday as well today. Happy birthday. And begrudgingly, I wish Councilmember Justin Brannan a belated happy birthday too. We'll now go to general orders, and we'll hear from Councilmember Menon.
Thank you so much, Majority Leader. Child care is truly in a state of crisis. It's costing on average over $18,000 a year for many parents in the city to afford child care. During the COVID pandemic, it's estimated that over 375,000 parents in the city have either left the workforce or downsized their jobs because of high child care costs and a lack of affordable options. And this is, in fact, costing the city over $2 billion a year in lost economic revenue. Moreover, there simply are not enough child care providers, creating child care deserts all over the city, as over 1,400 facilities have closed in recent years. Child care is both unaffordable and inaccessible for the vast majority of New Yorkers. As a mother of 4, this is a deeply personal issue to me. In the face of this crisis, today is a momentous day. The City Council today, with this vote, will make New York City the first city in the country to enact a comprehensive legislative package to adopt universal child care. Our City Council is sending a very strong message to end this crisis. My 5 bills would, as the Speaker said, mandate that a permanent child care advisory board would implement universal child care. We would get there within 5 years. The other bills would provide grants to struggling providers, so we get to the supply issue, would make it easier to open new child care centers and create a child care directory and subsidy database. I want to, first of all, thank my colleagues, Councilmember Hudson and Councilmember Gutierrez, who are also passing bills on child care, and I congratulate them. I want to thank and congratulate the speaker, and then very briefly from the speaker's staff, Brenda McKenney, Jessie Fiong, Sarah Liss, Andrea Vasquez, Jeff Baker, and from my office, my Chief of Staff, Jonathan Shett, my Legislative and Budget Director, Brandon Jordan, and my entire team for this package of bills. Thank you.
Thank you. Right on time. And we're going to now hear from Councilmember Gutierrez, followed by Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Wait, here it is. Okay. My bill being voted on today, Intro 242, the Marshall Plan for Moms, uses an economic lens to address the issue of child care, which has long been dismissed as a women's issue, and acknowledges the transformational impact that real investments could have for millions of families in our city. This task force and the other task force and advisory board in this package of bills from Council Members Hudson and Councilmember Menon are signals that it is time to join forces to think through how we can revolutionize the economy of care, supporting not just the 500,000 of children under the age of 5 in our city, but the providers of that care as well, which is a workforce that is predominantly made up of women, women of color, and immigrant women. I'm also proud to stand in support of the other bills in this package by my colleagues. This is just the beginning of a long fight toward a vision of true universal child care in which no one falls off a benefits cliff, no one is stuck in a cycle of poverty, no one is taking out personal loans to make payroll, and no one, no child, no parent, and no provider is left behind. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll next hear from Councilmember Williams.
Thank you so much, Majority Leader. I promise to get it together some point soon. I am proud, take two, to support the designation of 2 blocks in my district through today's vote on the Cambria Heights 222nd and 227th Street Historic Districts. Historic districts are especially important in Black and brown communities, and I hope more historic districts in Eastern Queens will be designated in coming years. This is the second landmark neighborhood in the 27th Council District, the first one being Adelaide Park, which shows how much rich culture exists here. These blocks were developed in the early 1930s and are well preserved and architecturally distinctive within the Cambria Heights neighborhood. They stand out with their whimsical and imaginative storybook style and as examples of Black and Caribbean home ownership. The history of Black and brown communities has long been ignored. I would like to thank the Landmarks Preservation Commission for their equitable approach to making our rich history visible, because our history is New York City history. I also want to thank former Councilmember Danique Miller for initiating this effort, Chair Lewis, and I proudly vote yes, well, I will vote yes, to preserve this unique part of New York history, and hope everyone else votes yes.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else who will speak on general orders? Seeing none, we'll now move to the report of special committees.
None.
Reports of standing committees.
Report of the Committee on Finance, Intro 655A, Business Improvement Districts.
Amended and a couple on general orders.
Report of the Committee on Land Use, LUs 100 and 101, 2080 McDonald Avenue.
Approved with modifications and referred to the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 197D of the New York City Charter.
LU 102 in Reso 347 and LU 103 in Reso 348 Bruckner sites rezoning.
Coupled on general orders.
104 and LU 104 in Reso 349 through LU 107 in Reso 352. 705 10th Avenue DEP site.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 108 in Reso 353 and LU 109 in Reso 354, Cambria Heights Historic District.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 115 in Reso 355, 7846 Metropolitan Avenue rezoning.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 116 in Reso 356, 7918 164th Street rezoning.
Coupled on general orders.
LUs 117 and 118 4025 Crescent Street rezoning.
Approved with modifications and referred to the City Planning Commission pursuant to Section 197D of the New York City Charter.
Report of the Committee on Women and Gender Equity, Intro 242A through Intro 489A on page 7, Child Care Package.
Coupled on general orders.
The following items are on the general orders calendar. Intro 179A.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 100 and Reso 357, and LU 101 and Reso 358, 2080 McDonald Avenue.
Coupled on general orders.
LU 117 and Reso 359, and LU 118 and Reso 360, 4025 Crescent Street rezoning.
Coupled on general orders.
Resolution appointing various persons, Commissioner of Deeds.
Coupled on general orders, I now ask that the clerk take a roll call vote on all of the items coupled on today's general orders calendar.
Madam Speaker, before we take a vote, we just have one item. We're going to stand at ease for a minute. I'm going to call on, just procedurally, call on Councilmember Gennaro.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Leader. This is what happens when you're sick for a month and your signals get crossed between myself and my staff. Here we go. I'd like to make a motion to recommit Land Use 116 and Reso 256 back to Land Use Committee for further consideration.
Okay, Clerk, I'm going to ask you to take a roll call vote to recommit the land use item back to Land Use Committee at Councilmember Gennaro's request. If you can please take a roll call vote on that.
Yeah, it's a long story.
Land use 116. Hold a moment.
And just to clarify, folks, we are voting just to put an item back into Land Use Committee and to bring it back to Land Use Committee, then it can come back for a vote, so we won't be voting on that specific item here today. So the vote we're taking right now is just to send it back to the Land Use Committee at Councilmember Gennaro's request to do so. Councilor Gennaro, can you just restate which item it is?
It's Land Use 116 and Reso 356.
Thank you. And a yes vote means you're voting to send it recommitted back to the committee at his request. Councilor Judge, do you want to add any statements alongside that request?
First of all, I'd like to apologize for the inconvenience. This is with land use items. They're kind of when it comes to the local community and smoothing certain people over and making sure that everyone is in a good place. We're not there yet. So my staff got a little bit ahead of me. That's all on me, and I apologize. But this is something I feel needs to be done, and then I'll get people where they need to be, and then it'll come back, and life will be great. So once again, I apologize.
Thank you. If the clerk can take a roll call vote on that. Again, a yes is to send it back to Land Use Committee at Councilmember Gennaro's request. Thanks.
Abreu.
Aye.
Ariola.
Aye.
Aviles.
Aye.
Ayala.
Aye on all.
Thank you. Councilmember Ayala is also, that's just on the motion to recommit the land use item, just to clarify. Councilmember Barron.
Aye.
Botcher.
Aye.
Brannan.
Sure. Yes.
Thank you.
We'll be doing yes or no votes today, Councilmember Brannan.
Brewer.
Yes.
Brooks Powers.
By Jim, let me see. Aye.
Kaban.
Aye.
Carr.
Aye.
De La Rosa.
Aye.
Dinowitz.
Aye.
Farias.
I vote aye.
Feliz.
Aye.
Gennaro.
Yes, and thank you once again. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Gutierrez.
Aye.
Hanif.
Aye.
Hanks.
Aye.
Holden.
Aye.
Hudson.
Aye.
Joseph.
Aye.
Kagan.
Aye.
Krishnan.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Marte.
Aye.
Mealy.
Aye.
Menon.
Aye.
Moya.
Aye.
Thank you. Narcisse.
Aye.
Nurse. Aye. Osei.
Aye.
Palladino.
Aye.
Wrestler.
Aye.
Richardson Jordan. Riley. Excuse me. Rivera.
Aye.
Sanchez.
Aye.
Schulman.
Aye.
Stevens. I forgot. Ung.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Juan.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye.
Powers. I vote aye.
Speaker Adams.
Permission to, no. I vote aye.
Thank you. By a vote of 44 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, the motion to recommit land use item 116 and resolution 356 back to committee passes the City Council. Okay. I now ask the clerk to take the roll call vote of all items except for land use item 116 and the accompanying resolution.
Abreu.
Aye.
Ariola.
Aye.
Aviles.
Aye on all.
Ayala.
Aye.
Thank you. Barron.
May I be excused to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
My pastor, Reverend Dr. Herbert Daughtry, told me it was a poor frog who doesn't praise his own pond. So since nobody mentioned it, but my 72nd birthday was October 7th. So would y'all please clap for me?
I told you. I told
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Being a Black Panther in the City Council, I got to take care of my own business. But now, on the order of today. Thank you. Thank you. I accept all belated gifts. Thank you very much. On the land use item 2080, McDonald Avenue, I vote no. It's 66 units and only 22 affordable, and I doubt all of those are affordable. On land use item LU 1117, 117 and 118, the Crescent, 233 units of housing, only 60 are affordable. I vote no on that. And I abstained from the appointments to the commission, Correctional Commission for David Folliard and Lily Superior, only that I don't know them, so I abstain. If that's not on the agenda.
Those are not on today's agenda.
Okay,
They're being
good.
submitted from they're being
All right,
submitted to us,
thank
but
you.
not voted on.
I vote aye on all the rest.
Thank you. Botcher.
Aye.
Brannan.
Aye.
Brewer.
Aye.
Brooks Powers.
Permission to explain my vote.
Go ahead.
First, I just want to extend congratulations to Councilmember Velasquez for her work in garnering the support on an important piece of land use action item in her district. Also want to congratulate Councilmember Williams, my neighboring district, and neighboring community with Cambria Heights, which is a staple in the Southeast Queens community. Also, Councilmember Menon, who from the moment she got elected knew she was coming in to do some important work around universal child care. I want to commend her on her focus and her efforts in this space. And of course, Councilmember Gutierrez on the Marshall Plan, which I had the opportunity of being a co-sponsor in the last term on legislation around this. And as a mom and in a council with so many mothers here, it is inspiring to see the important work that we continue to do as legislators across the city. And with that, I vote aye on all.
Thank you. Caban.
Aye on all.
Carr.
Aye on all.
De La Rosa.
Aye.
Dinowitz.
Aye.
Farias.
I vote aye on all.
Feliz.
Aye on all.
Gennaro.
Aye.
Gutierrez.
Aye.
Hanif.
Aye.
Hanks.
Aye.
Holden.
Aye.
Hudson.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
Today, I'm proud to join my colleagues in voting for a groundbreaking legislative package that will pave the way toward universal child care in New York City, making our city the first in the nation to provide child care to all who need it. As we know all too well, the pandemic turned back the clock for many women in the workforce. Many women saw their jobs among the 1 million erased by the pandemic, but they still had to find a way to pay their bills and take care of their children. Even before the pandemic, many recent parents tried to re-enter the workforce but found their wages too low to pay for adequate child care and decided instead to stay at home. A recent Federal Reserve report found that mothers continue to work less than other women despite a prevalence of jobs. Moreover, the gender wage gap exists in part because many women drop out of the workforce during their peak earning years to care for their families, or because they cannot find a job at their previous salary when they take temporary leave to start or grow a family. Universal child care will help narrow this persistent gap while ensuring parents do not have to choose between their families and their careers. As part of my Black agenda for New York City, I called for a universal child care system in New York City, and I'm proud to have delivered on that promise by sponsoring this package and introducing a bill to create a task force that will study how to make child care more affordable through free or low-cost child care. And this package is just the start. We need to raise wages and training for child care workers to create a pipeline of good-paying jobs to care for our city's children, and we need to continue working to ensure women, femmes, and non-binary folks earn $1 for every dollar a man earns. I vote aye on all, and I also just want to acknowledge again that yesterday was National Coming Out Day. And to those who have already come out, who come out every day, and who are struggling to come out, I stand in solidarity with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph.
Aye on all.
Thank you. Kagan.
Aye on all.
Krishnan.
Aye on all.
Lee.
Aye on all.
Lewis.
Aye on all.
Marte.
Aye on all.
Mealy.
Aye on all.
Menon.
Aye on all.
Moya.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
For far too long, we've seen women overlooked and unnoticed in their place of employment. This is especially true when their jobs have a significantly lower percentage of female colleagues or are jobs not traditionally held by women. This bill was born out of meetings that I held with MTA workers who were forced onto disability because they couldn't fit their pregnant bellies behind a steering wheel. Women punished for too many bathroom breaks. Asbestos workers forced to change and be decontaminated in front of male colleagues. A woman alone in a subway tunnel flagging during construction suffered a miscarriage. These women deserve to be seen, to be recognized, and to know that they are valued wherever their workplace may be. They deserve to have rights as an employee and not to be treated as a burden on the basis of gender. They deserve reasonable accommodations and basic safety and privacy measures. And we must strive to be a place that values diversity and inclusion, not as a concept, but in real measurable actions. So I want to take this opportunity to thank the speaker, the council staff, my chief of staff, Megan Taddeo, Jeremy John, our partners in labor, and all those who supported the development of this legislation that will help improve our workplace for everyone. And I encourage my colleagues to vote in the affirmative, and I will be voting aye on all. Thank you.
Thank you. Narcisse.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
I am so proud to be part of this great chambers here, and most of all, to having a speaker that understands what's going on. And thank you for all the strong women in this chamber that understand what's going on, and the men that gets it. Childcare is a very important asset in our community. If we can help the parents, the mothers, the single mothers that are out there, like myself, I want to say thank you, and I appreciate your work. And all the housing issue that we're talking about, the inequities in our community, I want to say that what took place in my district last night is part of the inequities that can be addressed. And thank you for taking this step forward. Now we are praying for a 19-year-old that got shot in the head, and we're praying for a miracle for him to get out of this. So it is true in our community that we can work together, but we keep saying it like a rhetoric. It is time for the village to step up and to do better in our community. When you see your neighbors having a problem, please don't hesitate to know that mental health is a real issue in our community, that we need to work together to address it. So thank you, my colleagues, and on that, I will vote aye.
Thank you. Nurse. Osei.
Aye.
Palladino.
Aye.
Wrestler.
Permission to explain my vote?
Go ahead.
I want to thank my colleagues Gutierrez, Menon, and Hudson for their leadership on this child care package, which I am honored to enthusiastically support. We cannot do enough to achieve universal child care swiftly in New York City. It is essential not only for the youth, the development of our youth, but for working parents. I would be remiss, though, if I didn't flag that it appears this administration is walking back on commitments toward universal 3K. And I am profoundly concerned about their intent to undermine access to universal child care for 3-year-olds in New York City on our watch. And I hope that you all will join with me in the budget proceedings ahead to ensure rigorous oversight and to push back and ensure that universal 3K is realized in this city in the year ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Richardson Jordan. Rivera.
I vote aye.
Sanchez.
Enthusiastically, I vote aye.
Schulman.
Aye.
Ung.
Aye.
Vernikov. Williams.
Proudly vote aye.
Juan.
Aye.
Yeager.
Aye on all with the exception of Intro 655 and Intro 485.
Thank you. Borelli. Powers.
I vote aye.
Speaker Adams.
Aye on all.
All items on today's general order calendar are adopted by a vote of 48 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, and 0 abstentions, with the exception of land use items 100, 101, 117, 118, and accompanying resolutions, which were adopted by a vote of 47 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, and 0 abstentions. Intro 655A, adopted by a vote of 47 in the affirmative, 1 negative, and 0 abstentions. And introduction 485A, adopted by a vote of 47 in the affirmative, 1 negative, and 0 abstentions. We'll now move to the introduction and reading of bills.
All bills have been referred to committees as indicated on today's agenda.
Thank you. We're now going to move into the discussion of resolutions. We don't have anyone signed up to speak. We have Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you so much, Majority Leader. So today I'm introducing two resolutions, and I want to join in the Speaker's remarks earlier, because the housing crisis should really be at the center of the way that we respond to migrants coming to our city. The first resolution is Resolution 344. The second is 345. One is calling on the state to pass a statewide housing voucher access program to create permanent pathways to affordable housing, which is what we need. And the second is in support of the statewide right to counsel program, which has been so effective in the city of New
Councilor Sanchez,
York.
I think you're speaking on resolutions that you are introducing today. This is on the
Yes.
ones we're voting on today.
Well, I finished, so thank you so much, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Councilmember Sanchez. We are going to have a voice vote on today's resolution. If you wish to vote against or abstain from today's resolution, please notify the Legislative Documents Unit by email or by approaching the dais before the vote. I'll now read today's resolution into the record. Resolution 69 calls on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign Senate Bill 7595 and Assembly Bill 8623, Senate Bill 6706B and Assembly Bill 7582A, and Senate Bill 7615 and Assembly Bill 8625, legislation supporting the provision of financial assistance to families and child care providers in order to make child care more accessible and more affordable. Will all those in favor please say aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. We'll now move into general discussion. We will start with Councilmember Hanif.
Thanks so much. Thank you to our Speaker and this Council for stepping up in our oversight role in relation to the asylum seeker crisis. Despite cold weather, flood risks, and lack of transportation options, this administration has continued forward in constructing a tent city on Randall's Island to temporarily house our new arrivals. At the immigration hearing I chaired 2 Fridays ago, the administration confirmed the conditions of the Humanitarian Emergency Relief and Recovery Centers, or HERCs, will not meet the bare minimum standards set out by our city's right to shelter mandate. This is simply unacceptable. We're well aware that the city has been put in a challenging position by conservative governors who are using people exercising their legal right to seek asylum as political pawns. We know that many civil servants are working around the clock and doing their absolute best to set these new New Yorkers up for success. However, we as a city need to be doing more to provide a dignified welcome. Last week, the Speaker put forward a thoughtful and comprehensive proposal for housing people inside in proper brick and mortar accommodations that I was proud to support alongside our Deputy Speaker Ayala and members of the Committee on Immigration. The proposal included a number of closed hotels that could be utilized for temporary shelter that could better meet the needs of the asylum seekers while also having the dual benefit of getting our unionized hotel workforce back on the job. The proposal also included policies that would improve the city FEPS process so that we can move people into permanent housing and ease the shelter bed shortage. We've recently gotten word that the administration will be using the Row Hotel in Midtown to function as a HERC, which is an important step in the right direction. However, they still plan to open the Randall's Island HERC imminently. I'm proud to be in solidarity with members of this body and calling the administration to abandon this plan and commit to providing asylum seekers with a proper roof over their heads. I want to emphasize that I'm eager to be a collaborative partner with City Hall in addressing this difficult situation, and that as emergency shelter siting decisions are being made, my district, the 39th, would love to welcome asylum seekers. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Councilmember Palladino, followed by Councilmember Barron.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so proud to present my anti-mandate legislative package consisting of 4 pieces of legislation. Reso 341, a resolution calling upon New York State legislation to pass legislation that would prohibit the alteration of terms and conditions of employment for all employees during a state disaster emergency. I'm working with the state legislature to ensure that emergency powers are disallowed from fundamentally and arbitrarily changing terms of employment, contracts, particularly union contracts. The government should not be able to terminate hard-working New Yorkers due to a personal medical decision, such as a vaccine mandate. Reso 343, a resolution calling upon New York State legislature to pass S7545A9342 to make the extension of certain local emergency orders subject to the approval of the local governing body. One of the reasons that so many of our frontline workers were laid off is that local emergency orders were extended without regulation or oversight. Passing this bill would ensure that the City Council is part of the process of extending emergency orders in New York City. Reso 342, a resolution calling upon the mayor and the New York City Department of Education to establish rigorous scientific criteria, including an emphasis on mental health repercussions that must be met before masking is mandated upon our school children. And Intro 772, this is a local law that would require the Department of Education to issue monthly reports on the implementation of mask mandates. I am a member of the Mental Health Committee, and this is important to me because the mental health of our children has been ignored when mandating masks. That is unacceptable. We need to know why we are mandating masks and how that is affecting our children socially, mentally, and developmentally, so that we may be better equipped to help them deal with the repercussions. These 4 pieces of legislation would create systemic change and ensure that New York City workers and school children's livelihoods are never threatened again due to a personal medical decision.
Thank you,
very much.
We're now going to go to Councilmember Barron, followed by Councilmember Dinowitz.
Thank you very much.
And happy belated birthday, Councilmember.
Oh, thank you very much. I accept your lateness. My colleagues, you know that all of us in our heart of hearts want to welcome the asylum seekers. But let's be real. There was a fair share rule that said homeless shelters should not saturate low-income community of colors. And right now, as we speak, don't try to be politically correct like somebody's against asylum seekers. That is not the issue. And we didn't start a crisis when asylum seekers came. We were in a state of crisis of homelessness before they even arrived. Now, when I look at Community Board 6 in the Bronx, high poverty, 20-plus shelters, they're building more there. When I look at Community Board 16 in Brooklyn, Brownsville, 23 shelters, building more there. My beloved East New York, building more there. However, Bensonhurst, white and Asian, no shelters. Bay Ridge, white and Asian, no shelters. Yeah, let's welcome them. Welcome them to Bay Ridge. Welcome them to Bensonhurst. Welcome them to affluent communities that are not abiding by the fair share rule, so that we equitably distribute this throughout the entire city and not oversaturate our communities. Don't feel bad when you say no and yes to putting them in communities that did not have their fair share. And when they put shelters in our community, it's not temporary housing, it's permanent, because it's permanent shelters. They don't transition to them to permanent housing. They don't have programs for them to get jobs, so they wind up hanging out and all over the place. Excuse me, just give me another minute and I'll stop. Hanging out all over the
20
place.
20 seconds.
And you just took some of my time. Now I got confused, so I need another minute to recalculate.
Go ahead, Councilmember Barry.
All right, thank you. So I'm trying to say that if you had a shelter in our community and you were really transferring them to permanent housing, saying any new developers that come and get subsidies from the city, you have to have 30%, 35% for the homeless. Then we can transfer people out. But to put them in our communities and don't have these things, these are permanent shelters, not temporary. And we got to fight that and say that the Fair Share Act, finally, it is America's foreign policy, imperialistic foreign policy, in all of these countries, particularly Nicaragua, Mexico, and El Salvador, and all of these countries, and Haiti, which y'all turned back.
Councilmember Barron, you have to wrap it up.
All right, this is in the wrap-up, and Haiti, that y'all sent back and didn't try to house, that if we didn't have those foreign policies, they'd stay in their countries and prosper instead of running to these borders. Thank you.
Thank you. We now hear from Councilmember Dinowitz, followed by Councilmember Hanks.
Thank you. Last night, at the age of 96, Helen Katz, the great-grandmother of my boys, passed away. She was more affectionately known to us as Nanny, and she was a survivor of the Holocaust. She was born in 1926 in Eastern Europe, and at the age of 13, when she was a kid, she was taken from her mother by the Nazis. Her mother was killed, and she was sent to a couple of different forced labor camps where she was forced to make bombs for the Nazis. She survived, of course, eventually moved to the Bronx, where she and her husband opened a laundromat. The passing of Nanny is not just a loss for my family. With her death, we lose one of the few remaining survivors of the Holocaust, one of the last firsthand witnesses of the horrors many of us only know from books and video. And as more survivors leave this world, with fewer and fewer firsthand accounts, fewer and fewer people know about the Holocaust or, frighteningly, even believe it happened. And as I reflect on her experiences and who she was, I'm reminded that the Holocaust did not begin with children being taken from their parents and being forced to work for the Nazis. Fear and anger and hate were fomented, accepted, and embraced. There are inspiring stories of individuals who risked their lives to save children and families during the Holocaust. People put themselves in danger, but overwhelmingly, otherwise good people stayed silent, turned away those in need, and accepted what was going on around them. And when I look around today, I see frightening echoes of what we learn about from survivors and their stories. It is very easy to write off hateful words as the rantings of an unwell celebrity or bigoted violence as the effect of an individual's mental health, but it's more than that. Every time we do and say nothing, or excuse words and actions, or try to see both sides of hate, it's providing a safe space for that hate and bigotry, and it becomes normalized. So I hope that today we remember not just the life of Helen Katz, but remember what she represents, and remember her through deed, that we invest our voices, time, and budget to build community and common understanding, and we never sit idly by as others express hatred toward anyone simply for who they are. May her memory be for a blessing.
Thank you, Councilor Dinowitz, and sending my condolences to you and your family. We're going to now go to Councilmember Hanks, followed by Councilmember Schulman.
Thank you, Speaker Adams and Majority Leader Powers. First, I would like to offer my condolences to Councilmember Dinowitz. A happy birthday to old boy over there, Charles Barron, and a very happy 31st birthday to my daughter, who is, it's her birthday today. Thank you. So today I'm introducing two pieces of legislation, Intro 0755 and Intro 0756. This intro would require first responders to receive training on how to handle sensitive images. In particular, this law will ensure that sensitive images including still or video images depicting the crime against a victim, physical injury, death, or suffered by a victim of crime or accident are not disseminated unlawfully. This legislation comes as a result of a careless and callous act that happened in my community, which is now in state law, a Staten Islander several years ago when an EMT worker irresponsibly shared the images of her deceased daughter on social media, leaving her family shocked and angered during the worst time of their lives. More recently, our city witnessed a similar incident with video footage of EMS Lieutenant Allison Russo, which is also shared online. These actions are unacceptable, and it is imperative that our first responders are properly trained on how to handle these sensitive issues. Next is Intro 756, which require the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice to provide training and operational support to not-for-profit service providers participating in the city's crisis management system. The city's crisis management system helps mediate conflicts on the street, connect high-risk individuals to services that can reduce long-term risk of violence. This legislation will ensure that those not-for-profits seeking to help mediate conflicts within our community are provided the support required to help them keep our cities and New Yorkers safe. I hope my colleagues will join me in supporting these bills. Thank you.
Boom. Well done. We're going to now go to Councilmember Shulman, followed by Councilmember Farias.
Thank you. I want to wish a happy birthday to all the Libras in the room. So there you go. You know, I'm somebody that has said here in this body that we're only as good as our staff, and that includes central staff. Herbani Ahuja, who's counsel to my committee, the Health Committee, is sadly leaving the council at the end of this week. She embraced the issue of health care and was extraordinarily responsive to me and my staff, and I want to wish her luck in her future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councilmember Farias, followed by Councilmember Brewer.
Thank you, Majority Leader. October, as mentioned already, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, an annual reminder to promote screening and prevention of the disease, which affects 1 in 8 women in the United States every year. I want to highlight that the Women's Caucus is doing a citywide free mammogram screening service throughout our 5 boroughs with our Women's Caucus members. And today, we hosted with American Italian Cancer Foundation a mammogram bus this entire day outside of 253 Broadway and had many residents and city workers screened. And so if you know of a woman over 40 that needs to get a reminder, give her that reminder. And I also just want to highlight a bill that was introduced today by myself and Councilmember Sanchez, Intro 783, being introduced on the floor today that hopes to mitigate an issue that affects all 51 of our council districts: poorly monitored water testing of cooling towers. Neglecting to test the water in a timely fashion creates diseases like Legionnaires that have already taken lives of Bronxites in a lot of our council districts, and several of my community members have fallen ill, and residents throughout the Bronx and throughout this city just this year. And we see hundreds of cases a year, every single year, in a lot of our NYCHA campuses and buildings. We saw what happened at Jacob Reese houses and in my district at Classen Point Gardens houses, so we have to be vigilant about our water testing and get our protocols codified to hold our agencies and others accountable to keeping our residents safe. I encourage everyone on the floor today to sign on to this legislation and help us continue the fight on this public health crisis. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear from Councilmember Brewer and finally from Councilmember Lee.
Thank you
and then Councilmember Narcisse.
Thank you very much. So Intro 752 is trying to address the issue that many of us are trying to address, which is the lithium batteries. I hope that there'll be a hearing. I know that the Chair of Fire and Emergency has kindly agreed to it. All the bills will be considered, but I think we have to find a way to make sure that the workers can get to work safely and cheaply in terms of the tools that they're using, but at the same time safely. Just last night, I got a call from an SRO where there are permanent residents as well as veterans who are permanent, and somebody had a fire in the apartment because they brought the bike home plugged in. So that department is destroyed. Just so you know, in this year, up to yesterday, investigations on this issue of the batteries, 166. injuries 90, and deaths are 6. So this is not something to take lightly, and I appreciate the support. Second, I want to mention, thank you, Madam Speaker, for the efforts that you have made on those who are coming from another country in terms of asylums. What I've been doing, and I'd love some help, I have a list of those churches and synagogues and mosques that in the past, people slept overnight. People were homeless, and it was a very successful program. The city paid for the cot, some of the food, the blanket, and it was a process where everybody stayed in touch. So I have that list. I've called everybody, and some are still able to do it, some not. So if you have churches, synagogues, or mosques where there is a bathroom, maybe a kitchen, we can figure out the showers. There's a gentleman who has a truck. He brings the shower and the truck around, and that's one way to handle, you do need a shower. The city has got to step up and pay for some of this work. Some cases, people will spend the night. Sometimes we have to find other ways to do that. When people leave, I call it the tent. They need a place to go. And it's no joke that there isn't enough, and I don't think it's so great to be in a large area like a hotel that is not conducive to support from the neighborhood, particularly in a place that's far from community. I have one church, they got 7 people. Everybody's being taken care of. I mean, they got airline tickets if they want, they got clothes, they got food, they got schools. We need to take care of folks, and we need to do it in our communities. So if you have a church, synagogue, or mosque, please let us know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll hear from Councilmember Lee, followed by Councilmember Narcisse.
Thank you, Majority Leader and Madam Speaker. Today I'm proud to be introducing legislation alongside Council Members Holden, Hanks, Velasquez, and Majority Whip Brooks Powers to combat catalytic converter theft. Thefts of these devices have nearly quadrupled in the city this year, and victims are left on average with $5,000 to $10,000 in damages to their cars. This happened to one of my staff as well. In an already difficult economy, New Yorkers should not have to live with that burden. Intru 759 would establish a catalytic converter etching program to distribute VIN etching kits to not only used and new car dealers, but also the general public. This bill would invest and expand in the good but overstretched work that NYPD has already been doing on this issue. Thank you, and I hope my colleagues will support in this effort.
Thank you. And finally, we'll hear from Councilmember Narcisse.
I'd be remiss as a nurse not to mention for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for all ladies out there watching, and for us to do the checkup on a monthly, regular basis, and to put the schedule for the mammogram around your birthday that you would not forget. It is real, so I want to say let's do it together. Let's stay alive. Thank you.
Sorry, we have one more. As we're going to hear from Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Inviting my colleagues to sign on to a couple things I already mentioned. So Councilmember Farias talked about the Intro 783 to develop water management programs in our buildings and keep our water safe. Also, Intro 750 is establishing a proactive lead inspection program by our city agencies. We currently do not proactively inspect for lead. We do so reactively. So this would be a program to do so proactively. Intro 782 would require the Department of Education to distribute to all children information regarding after-school programming. We know we have gaps in care, child care, but also after-school care, and so part of that gap is information, and this Intro 782 aims to tackle that. Reso 344 and 345 I already mentioned that are about the housing crisis, so calling on the state to do their part, to do more by establishing a statewide housing voucher access program, as well as expanding right to counsel statewide. And lastly, Intro 785, we've all been promised everything and the moon when we go through rezonings in our communities and when we were staffers and in the lives before we were council members, and yet there isn't a formal mechanism for the city to track these mitigations that are promised. So in addition to the rezoning tracker that did pass a few years ago, this bill would add the mitigations to be tracked by the department, the Office of Environmental Coordination. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else signed up, I'll now call on Speaker Adams to close today's stated meeting.
Before we close, I just want to commend the Women's Caucus of the New York City Council for having the mammogram screening bus outside of City Hall today. This is another unprecedented move of the women majority-led City Council, first ever. So I want to commend my colleagues for doing this. This is what happens when women lead. With that, the stated meeting of October 12, 2022 is hereby adjourned.